Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Angela, Deputy Director, Professional and Education Development, and your moderator for Panel 1. I hope everyone had a good lunch. Before we proceed, please note that if you'd like to attend Panel 2, please click on the link in the description box below, as the panel is streamed on a different link. If you would like to sit in for Panel 1, which is Early Years Relationships and Learning, please stay on this link. Without further ado, let's welcome our panel of speakers today. This afternoon, we are honored to have Dr. Michelle Chen, Assistant Professor, English and English Literature, Hong Kong Shue University. Hello, Michelle.
Hi everyone.
All right. Michelle's research interest is on Victorian literature, fantasy, and children's literature. In recent years, she is developing researches in relation to healing and picture books, ecological studies of children's literature, and translating children's literature and picture books. She will be presenting on picture books and emotional learning. Next, we have Miss Jacqueline Chow, founder of Brio Music Therapy. Hello, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, we can't hear you.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Jacqueline is a registered music therapist, adjunct lecturer, and curriculum developer of early childhood music, and a mother of three. Her professional practice includes early intervention, special education, pediatric rehabilitation, burns and surgical, and pediatric mental health. She will be presenting on how parents can bond and use music to support their child's social emotional development. Lastly, we have Miss Alison Choo, our very own senior speech and language therapist at the PAP Community Foundation. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Angela. Hi, everyone.
So Alison has a special interest in partnering educators and parents in providing intervention in naturalistic and inclusive settings. She hopes to give every child a voice and to listen to them as much as they are willing to communicate. Alison has successfully incorporated keyword sign, which is the use of formal signs and natural gestures to support communication and language development of children as a preschool-wide approach. She'll be sharing how parents can play a big role in building a strong foundation for their child's communication skills. So the format of this panel will look like this. Each of our panelists will be sharing about their topic for about 20 minutes, and we will have our Q&A after the presentation from our third speaker. In the meantime, should you have any query you would like our speakers to address, you may leave it in the live chat box. Let's warmly welcome our first panel speaker, Dr. Michelle Chen. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Over to you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Hi everyone. I'm Michelle from Hong Kong Shue University, and I'm working in the English language and literature department. And then I'm going to share on the picture books and emotional learning today. So thank you all for coming. So it seems like recently there are a lot of discussions about emotional learning, and so I like to take a look at how it works in early childhood. So children have different stages of development, and in early childhood, like after one, maybe until before they go to school, around maybe 4, like they are developing multiple skills, like including their independence, their autonomy, and emotional competence. So not only that they are trying to take control of their own emotions regulation, they are actually trying to use language and to express themselves and to think about or considering their emotions. And soon, when they go to school or they have more interactions with the others, they will share their feelings and hear other interpretations on the emotion as well. So right now we are trying to see how literature, how books can develop their emotional literacy by training their emotional competence. So the main idea of emotional competence, including a few things. One is the self-awareness, like how they feel, like how they are aware that what they feel, and then how they express what they feel about their emotional expression. And the other one is like how they develop their awareness and emotional response to others' emotion. So I'm going to go through some type of books that are related to emotional learning. And the first one, it's like books that are really focusing on emotions and emotional learning, like this one. Like it's very clear, right? From the book cover, it's like the crayon books of feelings. So Oliver Jeffers, this writer, actually he has a number of books about these crayons. And then this one specifically related to feelings. So it started with like the crayons have so many feelings. Have you ever felt the way they do? And then you got the spread on like either it's like sadness or feeling excited, or that like the little like spread at the corner, it's like feeling invisible. But these are very, I mean, this type, there are several books like this that are introducing feelings though. So it's very specific. Oh, this phase is almost like equal to that feeling. And then they work a bit like flashcard. uh I mean, like these, if you are asking children to point out, okay, what feelings do you have? Maybe that is useful though, but they are very specific. I mean, like they are so focused, and they really look like a list of vocabularies though. So even if they look very fun, I guess like for identification is okay, but then like for learning, maybe it requires a bit like older children, which they can actually read, or like they are learning the words though. So there are books which are related to emotional learning and providing solution and to regulate emotions, unlike the previous one, which is really just a list of words. Like this one called Betty Goes Banana, and then like this one is like Betty's is this like monkey chimpanzee thingy. They she's got very frustrated because she can't peel the banana. It must be very frustrating. She's very, very hungry. So the book display how she was, she's being frustrated, she's angry, and she was being sad. And then all these emotions all comes in one go. And they are very these storybooks, even if they are not as explicit as the previous one, like in terms of emotional teaching. I guess like the readers are able to understands the feelings through the reading already. So I personally would see that like storybook itself is actually easier for children to learn emotion though. And like Betty Goes Bananas, the next one, when Sophie gets angry, really, really angry, and then this is about clearly about anger, right? So Sophie is this little girl. She's so angry. She's like it's about to explode, and like a volcano. And then she takes a walk to see all these, trees, nature, the sea, and everything comforts her. And so she goes, well, but with calm and pleasant. But like these books are also very explicit. It sounds like that emotion is something that you have to solve. I understand their function though. They're good as well. Is they can calm the kids and also sort of demonstrate like how to calm yourself or how to handle your emotion. But what I'm going to go through right now is another type. It's like you learn through the reading process. So take a look at a bit like at this book called A Bit Lost. So this owl with his mom, and he fell off on the ground, and then he met a fox. Sorry, it's a squirrel. It's not like a fox. I met the squirrel, and then the squirrel asked, like, "Are you okay?" And the owl was like, "I'm lost." And the squirrel asked, "Where's your mommy?" So they start off their, little adventure for looking for the owl's mother, and in the process, they meet different animals, but all these comes to that's not my mommy either. So finally, they point out that one thing: is this your mommy? Yes, yes, she is. So here's my mommy. Okay, So by reading the stories on throughout the process of reading this story of like the looking for the mother, so the visual narrative honestly is there are enough clues for readers to identify the feelings of the characters, like their facial expression, their gesture, posture, their their face, and also the tears of joy. So visual narrative actually tells us a lot, like picture books, right? So it's about picture, and then the picture actually is very strong, and usually they're very strong enough to provide the clues for displaying the emotions of the characters. So for this book, it displayed the ups and downs in the search of the owl's mother, and the reader witnessed to emotional changes of the characters, like the urge, the confusion, disappointment, and the joy. And it's rather easy for readers to identify the emotions of the animals. So while they are aware of and learning about the emotional changes of the characters, the children will strengthen their awareness to their own emotion as well. But picture books actually involve two things, like visual narration, like the pictures, right? But and also the text. In I know this is like some theory though, but for visual narration, they tend to show more than words can say. So by describing the surface, a picture actually include much more visual information than the verbal message. While the textual narration, usually they are where they point out where we should focus on. So like with the textual narration, we can focus attention on the picture in such a way to make them assertive, so we know what to look at, and that's because of the clues provided in the text. So the words can give us a map, so do we know that, or how to go through all these pictures, what is the logic behind all these pictures though. So before that, that book is a bit lost. It's really about like, oh, children can identify the emotions through the visual narrative. But children's actually looks more than adults usually. Like adults tend to look at the words, but take a look at all these red arrows. Like I'm not sure. Maybe I go through it pretty fast. Like I'm not sure whether you notice all these animals hidden. They are the characters in the story though. Children's they in the early childhood they can't read much, their readability is limited. The words is for the storyteller, it's for the adults. Children's read the pictures. So what if we come across like a stage where they are not so good at reading text then? So the logic should be provided by the storyteller then. So they the children's like because at this stage develop emotions, languages at the same time, they need to depend heavily on the storyteller to understand words and plots. So in this case, the parents and teachers are playing the role of providing the details of the story. So we take a look at another book and see like how teachers and parents can work with all the text and going through this logic of the picture bookstore. So this book is called Don't Worry, Little Crab. It's actually produced by the same illustrator. It's just that like for the crab, they don't have that much emotion visualized because of how they look like because it's really hard to show the emotion of a crab, I guess. So this book is about the sea, it's about the two crabs who's trying to go to the sea. And obviously the little crab got slightly scared because the sea looks furious. There's big wave in the sea though. So compared to the owl and the other animals, like the emotion of the crab, honestly, it's much less explicit. So then this is where teachers and storytellers comes in. They should provide explanations and guidance. So this is like the little crab is trying to get into the sea, but looks slightly scared. Hmm? Oh. So here, like young readers would see like, oh, the crab looks slightly, step back. And they can probably identify because that resemble their physical reaction. Like children in the early childhood, they can now literally run away from like unpleasant environment. So character like this, they can resemble it, they can identify with it because it looks like them. So the big crab here, so what he need to do or she need to do, I'm not sure what the gender is, like she need to provide the guidance. So this relationship, it resemble the one with, the real in reality, like the storytellers and the young readers. So now you got the big crab, grabbing the little ones and get to the seedo. So the guidance of adults as demonstrators in this picture book becomes essential, honestly, for a child to identify and overcoming unpleasant situations. So picture book like this one will be able to narrate, the process of emotional learning along with the help provided by the adults. So okay. So children, they are, instead of learning like to identify, they learn to be aware of their own emotions, and later on they will have more ways to communicate. And for this book, it's through communicating through pictures. And you can also see that like the children, I mean the child protagonist, he is, or she is, he is like he is painting and that he's expressing themselves. And this will be like one of the activities at school, right? Like the children need to express themselves through different medium, and they will also need to share their emotions. So picture book like this one, like Elmer, like the dots, the previous one, it's opening up children's mind on how to share. So you got the identification, and then you got the awareness, and now how to share through what kind of medium they can share, and to whom, maybe to friends and family. Okay, some books are, so in terms of the expression then, so some books are designed to inspire young readers on the subject of sympathy and empathy. So these are some good ones. I personally look at, I actually look at, sometimes look at the books of sadness, the books about trauma, how to handle that. So the two in between, sorry, in the center, is Call Missing Mommy and The Scar. They are for the expression of sorrow. I think that's, we have to be honest. Sometimes like death or sorrow doesn't come only in adulthood. So we need to prepare children to handle it. And then other than developing empathy, sympathy, but also developing a proper way or developing their own way of these emotions. And I'll share a bit more about The Rabbit Listened. But before that, I would like to take a look. I'd like to share about this book called The Tough Guy for Feelings Too. Because when I come across this topic about emotional learning, one of the major concern I find out is the boys. Boys tend to be taught to suppress their feelings. I mean, it's a worldwide issue. It's not like limited to any places or countries. So this book, even if it's for slightly older children, it's very good for boys to talk about, to guide boys to talk about their feelings. Like superheroes, it's amazing, but then in this book, superheroes also got their own problems and sadness as well. So this book particularly will serve as a very good examples for boys to talk about their feelings. Compared to girls, boys have less chance to do so. So that's why, like, I guess this one will be a good book for them. And in terms of The Rabbit Listened, this one is for empathy. Like you see the little boy, his toy got crushed down, and then there were animals coming in and try to interact with them, talk to him, or like trying to resolve its problem, but not in a proper way. So the rabbit comes and try to listen to the sorrow of the boy, and then together they build the castle again. So this is a good way to demonstrate, like after learning about others' emotion, what can a child do? Like to stay with him or to give him a hug or to play with him or any other, activities though. So what I'm going to say here is like children's learn emotions not only by flashcard, not only by cards like the first book I shared, like crayons that stand with sadness or crayons that with happiness. They are more like language learning. Children's or even adults, we learn through stories, and it's a very effective tool. Children's particularly learn emotion largely by imitating reproducing body practice, mimicry, and gesture. And children's book, we shouldn't see it as a menu. It's not like, oh, this is the list of things that you should do, or like, oh, this is the list of action you should follow this, and then you will got this perfect emotions. Like it's not a magical medicine. It's children's books tend to just to tell you like how this emotion works or like how these emotions occur, but not to tell the children what they should do. And it's not so instructive. It's not supposed to be, and it shouldn't be as well. So children's book offers solutions for the fights which originated first and foremost from the children themselves rather than from the judging and correcting adults. And it's true, like we don't have to be so judgy. We are not trying to instruct like, oh, what you need to do to be more calm or to be less angry. I mean, we should learn about the process of calming the child, calming ourselves. Maybe we should learn from children's book as well, and to handle sorrows, handle sadness. Not like, oh, you shouldn't feel sad or you should feel happy now. That is what you need to do. And but we are not dealing with what, we are dealing with how. And by dealing with how, that like children's books become more effective in guidance. So and in terms of understanding picture books, I guess there should be much more freedom in the interpretation. You see, there are so many clues in the picture, and children will pick up things that they can identify with. Readers, young readers, or even older readers can do so. So that's why, like, I guess, like, while reading children's book for emotional learning, we should give more room for the interpretation and for the learning process, indeed. All right, like, I guess this is like the end of my presentation. Please feel free to ask any questions if you want to. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was an illuminating, sharing. I was very interested in that portion on how we convey sorrow to children. I think we can discuss that at the Q&A portion later. All right. So next up, can we invite our second speaker, Miss Jacqueline Chow? Jacqueline, hello.
Hi.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pass it
I'm
over
going to
to
share
you.
my screen right now. Hi, everyone. I'm Miss Jacqueline, and I'm very excited to be part of the inaugural PCF Parental Conference, sharing with you this topic, bonding through music, from the perspective of a music therapist. So today in this 20 minutes, what I'm going to do is I will be sharing with you some strategies where you can use at home with your child to help you and your child with emotional growth. So the key word here I'm sharing is for you and your child. It's not just for your child, because I feel that all these strategies are really helpful, because when music is used intentionally, it has tremendous benefits, especially in supporting our children's growth. So here are the tips. The first one is to sing with your child. Number 2 is to make music with your child informally. And number 3, use songs to engage, connect, acknowledge feelings, and to calm one another. The first tip is to sing. A lot of parents come and ask me, I don't play any musical instruments. What can I do? Should I send them for classes? So actually, what you can do with your child is to sing. And everybody has this instrument of singing and this gift of your singing. So first of all, we need to understand the health benefits of singing. So the health benefits of singing has long been documented in literature. I've summarized a few here for you. Singing for pleasure, meaning you're not singing for performances. Singing for pleasure improves our health and well-being. It reduces our stress level. It enhances our mood. And actively making music makes us happier because of the more endorphins released in our brain when we are playing or making music. Then we are just listening to it. And singing increases oxytocin in our brain. Oxytocin is a hormone in our social brain. When we're singing, it is released to help strengthen parent and child bonding. So this is especially important, especially during this current pandemic. In the COVID pandemic, sometimes we really feel very, very stressed about our children's health, about them not being able to go out to play or learn as we expect or we hope to give them. So through singing with them, you are actually helping to keep them healthy and also helping to build a strong bond. It is really important to know, like, why singing? And some of you might feel that it's just so awkward when I can talk. Why would I want to sing? So interestingly, if you want to tell your child something, you will find that it's much easier if you sing your instruction to them. When they're all in their zone and you wanted to tell them something, they might not be listening. They might be doing something else or engaged in something else. But when you sing your instructions, you realize that they respond to you straight away. So sometimes you will realize that your child is dancing to some movement song or dancing to some action songs. And you would understand that, oh, they really love music. So this is the strength that you have already identified. Okay, my child loves music. So how can we use music intentionally to help them grow? So research has shown that music lights up our whole brain, and this is really powerful. So in this image, you can see that on the left, it shows our brain at rest. The red color indicates where the oxygen flows. On the right, this is an image that shows when somebody is listening to music. So you can see that there is more oxygenated blood flow in our brain. Our brain lights up like fireworks when we are playing music, when we're singing, or when we are listening to music. And why is it like that? It is like that because music is made up of many different elements. It is made up of melody, rhythm, timbre, dynamics, tempo. All these things are processed in different parts of our brain. Unlike speech, speech is processed primarily in our left hemisphere of our brain, the mirror image here, primarily only in our left hemisphere of our brain, whereas music is processed in the entire brain region. So that explains it. When you wanted to connect with your child, it's better and more effective when you can sing to them, sing with them. Okay. So here is one technique that I wanted to share with you. It's called the infant-directed singing. Infant-directed singing is first used in a neonatal ICU with premature infants by music therapists. Infant-directed singing is a technique. What it means is that when we sing a song to a child, we don't perform a song. We need to watch our child's breathing rate, watch how energetic they are in the moment, and also if they're tired. If they are very lethargic and they're very low, you wouldn't come up and say, "Hi, let's do some high five." They would feel that, oh, we do not connect. We just we just can't sync because I'm not in the mood, and you come in super excited and you're trying to sing Wheels on a Bus to me when I'm so low and so tired. So infant directed singing is a technique where for you to focus on the child's breathing rate. So you set the tempo according to the child's movement, breathing rate, and the pace. The dynamics that is used is based on the child's state. If the child is very excited coming home from school and you wanted to just be in the moment and sing a song, then of course you would be happy and be active. Whereas you won't be singing a lullaby that is super slow, like you wanted to put somebody to sleep. So the dynamics has to match their state as well. And if you want to have interaction with the baby or with any child, even children with autism, this is a technique for you, is that you should intentionally create pauses in between musical lines for the child to fill in with either a sound, a word if they're talking, or if they're super young baby, infant, 2 months old, if we are saying, a smile or a change of movement. This is what you can provide them with. I will give you an example later on, okay? So I've chosen this song, K Sarah Sarah, because I thought that most of us would know this tune. Performing a song is very easy. It's just like going to karaoke. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? So this is performing, right? If we wanted to use the technique that we just talked about, infant-directed singing, we would be looking at the baby, looking at the child, and observe if the child is moving fast or slow. Then you'll be moving at the same pace as your child and start singing. When I was just a little, pauses, this is where you give them, and then they will give you back a smile either, or they will say, I asked my sweetheart, what will I be? Will I be? Leaving pauses in song. Will I be? Here's what she said too. Giving some hand gestures as well. So the key idea here is if you want to have the interaction with your child using a song, you need to give pauses. You need to set the tempo, the dynamics to the child's state. Yeah. I've got some videos on my Instagram account. If you're interested to like go through some of the real life video with the real person, yeah, feel free to check it out after the presentation. So here is a lovely quote of my very beautiful son and my husband. A lovely quote and a very beautiful photo of my husband and son. So it says here, the tempo and the key certainly don't need to be perfect or professional for mothers and infants to interact through song. In fact, infants may be drawn to the personalized tempo and pitch of their mother, which encourage them to direct their gaze toward and ultimately communicate through this gaze. So if you can use infant-directed singing with your baby, with your child, you will see the magic. You might ask, how about the songs? What songs should I be singing with the children? So for babies or for young children, we mainly categorize the types of songs into two categories. So there are play song and lullabies. For play song, it would be those that are more brilliant, more rhythmic, have a lot more smelling, and is to use for engagement. And the other type is lullaby. Lullaby is slower, as in 6/8. It's more airy, just like how you're dancing towards, more soothing and more calm. So for you, after this very short 20 minutes session, I hope that you can make choices of what sort of style you can use in whatever time of the day and for what purpose. So there are many genres in music. My suggestion is for you to start with what you like. It does not have to be Wheels on a Bus or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. In infant-directed singing, and in literature, the music therapists, what they studied in the neonatal ICU is that they actually used the song of kin. So what the song choices that they use to engage the baby is the daddy or mommy's favorite song. In the research, it's daddy's favorite song and change it to lullaby. Daddy's favorite song could be Maroon 5 type of music. We change that to lullaby and use infant-directed singing. Yeah, so the two criteria I have for you here is as long as the words are appropriate, no vulgar, and no heavy metal because it's just so loud and so noisy that you can't really hear the words, your favorite song would be the best choice to start. All right, so that was about singing with your child. So the second tip that I have for you is to make music informally at home. Some of you might have already sent your children for music classes outside. I think it would be good exposure. But what's the most important is that you make music with your children at home. Informally, we're not learning about do, re, mi, fa, sol. We're not learning about rhythm, not learning about specifically some musical terms or sending them for lessons or be going for piano instrumental lessons. No. So what research has shown is that informal music making at home from around the ages of 2 to 3 can lead to better literacy, numeracy, social skill, and attention and emotional regulation by the age of 5. So it was done in Australia, and it's such a powerful research to highlight to parents the importance of making music at home with their children. So now, if your child is still young, maybe 2 years old, 3 years old, instead of looking out, where should I send them for music and movement classes, maybe you should start at home first. Parents should feel encouraged and empowered in tapping their own inner musician before looking outside the home. So now, how does making music informally looks like? Making music informally would be singing together, listening to music together, making up lyrics together, dancing together, banging with household items, making music with kitchen utensils, or reading singable stories. Just as Dr. Michelle shared the book about the crayons, I read that book with my baby all the time. And because it's just so young, we are learning about the identification of emotions. We sing, we put melodies into those songs and to make it more relatable to him. Now let's see if I can play the videos. Oh, I don't think I can play the videos over here. Never mind. Yeah. So there are some videos that I have put up here, but I don't think I can play them. They are mostly available on my Instagram account. So yeah, feel free to look at them. So this video is actually, I dressed up my little baby into a mermaid, and then we were singing the song Part of Your World while holding him and dancing. Because when you are holding a baby and dancing and singing a song, you're actually giving an external stimuli, which is the music, to help the two people synchronize together in time. When you are doing that, it strengthens the bond between the mommy and the baby. And hence trust is built. And over here in this one is just daddy singing super hilarious songs with the two children jumping on the bed. And they're all done in the moment, super silly. So here is an example for you. Like, how can I sing in the moment and what can I do to be silly? So here is an example. I've changed the lyrics of Que Sera Sera to Daddy's Hungry. So imagine if you're a dad and you are hungry and you wanted to eat some food. What you can do is, if you feel like it, that you just want to be silly, you'll say, oh, when I was just a hungry monster, I asked my tummy, who should I eat? Should I eat Johnny? So Johnny is the child. Should I eat Mom? Here's what my tummy said. Oh, big hungry monster, whoever it is, don't eat my mommy, please. Or you have to clean the house. Or you have no bed to sleep. Or you have no home to come back to. So just make it up. Be silly, be in the moment. And then you will realize that, oh, your child maybe start dancing with you and making up more verses. So now the last tip for you today is to use songs intentionally to engage, connect, acknowledge feelings, and to calm one another. So here I have highlighted the word one another. It's because I feel that when a child is having big emotions, parents would feel very affected as well. When my son is throwing a tantrum, I feel very nervous. My heart rate would go fast. And because of my own upbringing, I tend to instruct or direct him what he should be doing. But of course, I know that shouldn't be the way. So, so I feel it's really important to calm myself as a mom before I try to co-regulate my child. So we want to be in control. We want to be the CEO of the whole situation. We know that we need to take deep breaths, but it is easier said than done. So now I have got this little chart for you. Hope to give you some tip and insight of next time when there's a big emotion, what can you do? So I've got some steps over here. Before the big emotions come in, we need to spend time to explore and teach emotions. So Dr. Michelle has shared with us some books that you can actually use to explore emotions with your child and also to identify them to teach the emotions when they're not having the big feelings. Do this when they're calm, before bedtime, when it's reading time. There's this emotion charts over here. There's a website. In the next slide, I've got a QR code where you can just scan and download the emotion chart. So the idea is to see it, see the emotion, say it, feel it, mimic it, and talk about it. So that's the first step. And you do that when the child is not having big feelings. Number 2 is to acknowledge by describing the person's facial expression and actions. So the second tip is a little bit different from what the previous keynote speaker has shared, because what they shared this morning was that we should label the emotions for them. I feel that we should label the emotions for them when they're young. But when they're a little bit older, we should broadcast what we see, like a radio broadcast. Oh, I see that you're scratching your fingers. How are you feeling? Sometimes they are able to tell you, oh, I'm feeling. So, sometimes if I were to label it for you, oh, you're feeling nervous. Actually, the child might just want to go to the toilet, and maybe we labeled it wrongly for them. So I feel that number 1, step 1 is really important when we are teaching them the emotion. Number 2 is we can describe the person's actions and facial expression. If we have the emotional chart, we flash it to them so that they can identify if they're unable to verbally express. After they have expressed it to you, oh, you're feeling nervous. How can I help? Then we give it back to them. Oh, I need this. Number 3 is to co-regulate the child. Be present for the child and provide support. Sing a song that talks about the child's emotions, or sing a song that the child likes, and not in a fast and furious mood, because when the child's having big emotion, or they're crying, or they're stomping, they're yelling, you need to choose a song that it identifies with them. The song is used as a holding space. The holding space is when the child is feeling safe to express all these emotions. So we can also offer our cuddles, our shoulders, crying shoulders, our listening ears, and calm down twos if it is, if there is any. And remember, it is okay to cry. And the last step is to regulate. And this stage comes much later, but it will come. So when they're still young, we got to repeat and repeat step 1, number 1, 2, and 3. And I feel that when you're using a song, to calm the child, you are calming yourself as the mom, so that you know that, oh, I need to take deep breaths in, I need to take deep breaths out, and I need to calm myself before I'm able to provide their crying shoulders. Sometimes as adults, we tend to brush it off and attach an emotion to the child, like, oh, you're scared or you're tired. Sometimes it may not feel that way. So here is an example of an emotion chart, and is available on this QR code. I've got different sets for different age groups, and I think they're quite fun to look at. So I've got this song that I would like to share with you. It is called Come Out Feelings. It's by Miss Katie Sings. I'm just going to show you how this goes. And you can find this song on YouTube and on Miss Katie Sings Instagram. And it's such a lovely song about emotions. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. When we feel happy or sad, worried, scared, or even mad, come out, feelings is better this way. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. When we feel happy or sad, worried, scared, or even mad, come out, feelings, it's better this way. Sometimes when I'm feeling sad, it helps me to cry. Sometimes when I'm feeling scared, I hug my grown-up nearby. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. Sometimes when I'm feeling tired, I sing something sweet, la la. Sometimes when I'm feeling mad, I stomp my feet. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. It helps to say what you feel inside. What does your body know? It's good to share what's on your mind. It makes us grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. Come out, feelings, don't need to hide away, no. Come out, feelings, you're welcome every day. So this is a very beautiful song about come out feelings. We listen to it on YouTube, and then we listen to it when we're driving or when we're at home. And then when my children are having big emotions, I just cuddle them. I would just say, Come out, feelings. Don't need to hide away. When my baby is crying, then I feel that, okay, it's okay for her to cry. I don't need to stop her. And it reminds me as well. And I like this song very much because of the key messages that it sends. Let's show our feelings in a safe way. It's okay to cry. I'm here if you need, and I'm here to listen when you are ready to share. This is all about co-regulation for the little children that we work with. So, okay, last but not least, I wanted to finish my presentation with this last song. And if you have a piece of scarf or a cloth or handkerchief or maybe a tissue paper with you, please take it out to use it as a prop. And I want you to grab the scarf and hide it in your hand. A little seed for me to sow, a little soil to make it grow, a little sun, a little shower, and then I'll wait, and then a flower. I'm just gonna repeat that one more time so that you can learn that. A little seed for me to sow, a little soil to make it grow, a little sun, a little shower, a little wait, and then a flower. There's a little flower here. All right, thank you so much for your attention. So this is my last quote. If there's one thing your child can teach you, it is about how to play. Play with your child, sing with your child, and you will see lots and lots of wonders. Thank you very much. Here's my Instagram, and this is my website. If you have more questions, please send me messages privately. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I think our audience are all mesmerized by the singing that has been going on in the 20 minutes. I learned a lot from you. I do see a number of comments coming in with some questions about what parents can do with their children using music. So we'll discuss a little bit more about that during the Q&A. All right. So right now, let us invite our third speaker for today, Miss Alison Choo.
Hi.
Alison?
Hi, Angela. Hi,
Ready?
Angela. Yes.
Okay, over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Hope you enjoyed as Jacqueline's session as much as me. I had such a musical delight. Okay. For my session, I'm sharing a parent's role in building a strong foundation for their child's communication abilities. I'm Alison, the Senior Speech and Language Therapist for PCF. Okay. This is what I'm going to cover, what communication is and why we use that every day. The importance of responsiveness when we interact with our children, and what are some of the ways to promote that. And lastly, to end our session off with some language building strategies that you can apply with your children. Okay. Have you actually wondered how do babies transit from babbling when they're just a few months old to being able to understand and use words and speaking in sentences or expressing themselves so well in a short span of 2 years? There's actually quite a lot of skills that they have to master and build in the short years. Yeah. Okay, but let's also think about what communication is. Why is it so important? And is it something that we have actually taken it for granted now that we speak? We can speak so freely and easily, or drop each other a message. So, what is communication? It actually is a behavior that is directed to another person. So there has to be two persons involved. And when we send a message from one person to the other, the other person provides either a direct reward or a social reward. So it can be, not as an acknowledgement. So that is, yep, I've understood you. Or it can be something like a smile or something even greater. So communication has to be between two people, and there's always a to and fro thing. There's always a response going on. Okay. We know that not all behaviors are communicative. So we always assume that, when we speak, someone is always at the receiving end responding back, but that might always not be so when you speak. There's also a lot of other factors that is involved as well. And we know that by looking at babies, we do not need to have spoken words to be able to communicate, because baby, when they usually only have their first words at about 11 or 12 months, but even way before that, in the first few days or weeks and months, when they smile, that is them telling you, hey, I'm comfortable, I'm feeling safe and happy. When they grunt or are upset or scrunch in their face, it's like, I need something, I could be hungry, I need my diapers changed, I'm upset. So they are sending you message, conveying emotions, letting you know their needs and wants all the time. Okay, so it doesn't only happen with just verbal language. It could be facial expression, it could be a gesture, it could be them pointing, many other different things to convey messages. And when children convey what they need, communicate their interests through various ways, and parents respond to this signals, we usually respond to that with words and our actions. Yeah, it could be that ask, oh, hi baby, how are you? Or hello. Yeah. Or, oh, yes, you want milk, let's go have milk. So that is us giving them a response, or actually giving them a high five when they ask for it. Okay, so that is them. And when we respond to what our children wants to communicate with us, we teach them about the world, okay, by attaching that to words and giving that meaning to it. And children benefit a lot from this responsiveness. So imagine if a child actually cries or sends out a message to you, but no one responds. What does the child do? A lot of the time, they'll try harder. They'll try harder to get someone's attention or to make sure that their messages are heard. And research has shown that a parent's responsiveness is very important to build a child's communication abilities. Okay, and what do I mean by responsiveness? Two main critical factors. One is that our responses has to be contingent. And what does it mean to be contingent? It's to be in tune to what the child is interested in. Okay, and once we are in tune to what the child is interested in, then we talk to them about it. Okay, first, because it holds their interest. The child is interested. If in a scenario that we can be talking all around the child, but the child is not interested, they can't be bothered, the child is not taking in that message at all. So it has to be contingent. It has to be what the child is interested. Okay. Second important factor is also that our responses has to be prompt, meaning that there's a very brief time window of 2 to 5 seconds. Once the child, ma, you want to respond very quickly. Okay, and why is that important? Because it helps the child to learn that, when I make a response, someone's answer, we are taking turns. There's a back and forth. In a back and forth manner. It's to and fro. Okay, it's almost like playing a table tennis. When you hit out, you want someone to return that serve, right? That serve and return thing. And this lays a foundation of conversations, or this lays a foundation for interactions and engagement also. Okay. So what are some of the ways to promote responsiveness? Two quick tip. I think as shared by Jacqueline also in her infant-directed singing as well, to be very in tune to a child's responses or their cues. And it helps if we are face-to-face or at the child's level. If you look at this picture of the teacher and the student beside her and the child beside her, she actually brought herself down to the child's level, that that their eyes are at the same level, so that she can see and hear exactly what the child is saying or doing. Okay, or at home, if you have lying down on the sofa or on the floor, you can prop your child up on your tummy, and then you see there's a direct line of vision. The child can actually, not only can you look at the child's facial expression or what's happening on their face, it gives the child the opportunity to do likewise with you. Okay, and when we go down to the level of our children, at the eye level, we actually look at the world from their perspective. When we stand up, it's at two different heights, right? Sometimes how we look at things might be of a different perspective. So it's helpful to look at it from their level. Okay, and our face contains a lot of social information. These micro expressions that we subconsciously expresses on our face, this gives off information to our children as well, and they pick it up when they are able to see our face quickly and easily. Okay, and it also helps the children to anticipate or expect our reaction and presence too. If we are too high, they actually have to keep raising their heads up, and that might not be the most helpful to them. In this picture is another example of how we can be at eye level with our children. You can change, it can be a board game or it can be book reading. So in Dr. Michelle's session, book reading is a helpful tool to build on a child's language as well. And yeah, so that you can both be lying down on the floor and reading through a book, describing through the pictures, and that helps to build language at the same time. Okay, in the second tip is to hold ourselves back, to observe, wait, and listen. We want to be detective of our children, to be very keen observers and listeners. So how can we do that is to hold ourselves back, to observe, wait, and listen. What does it mean to observe? That means not be so quick to jump in. We hold ourselves back, we observe, what is our child interested in? What are the activities that, excite them or has their focus? And then we watch, and at this point when we know what activities our children is interested in, we don't jump in, we watch how they respond to it. Okay, we wait first, and then we give them enough time to communicate with us. And as mentioned previously, it doesn't always have to be spoken words. It can be them expressing through their facial expression. It can be them jumping. They are so excited, they can't wait for it, or they can be pointing. That is them telling you, hey, I'm interested, I want to play. Or it can be them as simple as just taking the toy off the shelf and playing with it on the floor. Okay? And then we wait, and then we listen. What is the child telling us? It can be a child who hasn't developed speech yet and just say, just making sounds, okay, of the train or car, okay? And then we use that and we build on it. So it's important to wait for what the child has to offer for us, and then we build on it instead of us jumping in. And with those two strategies, on being responsive to our child's interactions, and then we start to add on language building strategies. Okay, language building. So first we want to promote interaction, to build a strong rapport with them, for them to be interested, to want to interact with us. Then we have strategies on to how we help them with the understanding and help them with language use. Okay, so 4 quick tips, 4 I's to encourage interaction with our children. Okay, we have include, interpret, imitate, and to intrude. And what does this mean? Let's say we want to always be interested in what our children are interested in. So we include their interests. So even if children with very limited interests, let's say we have a child who is just, who only wants to play with alphabets or numbers, then it's okay. We start with that first. At least we build a rapport with our children. They want us to be around them. And then we can slowly, through that, alphabet or number activity, we can either creatively extend that play or we present new activities. So we keep introducing new ones, show the child how we can play with them, and we wait for the child to discover and follow their lead. Okay. Next strategies that we can also use is to interpret what they are saying or doing if they could actually do that. Okay, meaning that if a child is unable to express themselves fluently, okay, and they do not have the words to express themselves or describe or what they want to tell them, you be their voice. Okay, what do I mean by being their voice? So meaning that as the child is walking to school and you pass by a garden, you describe, oh, we are walking through the park. Oh, there's a butterfly. Butterfly is flying above the leaves. or yeah. Okay, so that helps to build the child's interest. The child will be like, oh, who is this? Why is she interested in what I'm doing? Yeah. And we can vary the intonation of some of the specific words also. So that helps the child to remember how and what to say. Okay, it helps them remember better so that when the child is able to say or express them, then the child, oh yeah, last time mommy did use or did say in this way, that's how I can use it too. Or that's how I can say it too. Okay. The other one is to imitate what the child is doing. So let's say the child is jumping, okay, or actually shouting and screaming. Usually our first instinct is to stop the child, right? So noisy. Don't hurt yourself. You're jumping so hard. But what happens if you jump alongside them? Okay, of course, make sure that they are safe first. You jump alongside them, imitate what they are doing. The child will look at you, you're not asking me to stop, and then you can slowly model behaviors that you like them to follow, to do, and the child then begins to, hey, this adult is interested in what I'm doing. Maybe I'll follow what she's doing as well. Okay, so that is a good opportunity for you to imitate first, and then they will imitate you back. And if the first three strategies doesn't work, I use the last strategy sparingly to intrude in the child's play. So you look for opportunities to work yourself into certain situations so the child doesn't have a choice but to approach you or to request for things or have to interact with you. So that can be, hiding, holding onto a toy that the child really, really wants, or have their favorite food, so that the child will come up to you and ask you for it, or maybe get in the way of their play, and the child has to make requests from you or via conversations. Okay, so these 4 I's are quick strategies to encourage interaction with you and your child. The next one, how do we help children who have difficulty with processing language or with understanding longer bits of information? I have 4 S, 4 strategies that begins with S. So to show, to say less, to slow down, and to stress and repeat keywords. So the first one, a lot of the times we speak and we expect the child to be attuned to what we say and to pick it up almost immediately. But some children might not have that mental capacity to always be focused at what you're saying. There could be too much words, or it could be language that might be too difficult for them to understand. So we want to pair what we say with either a real object, an actual thing, or we can pair what we say with an action or gesture, or even keyword sign as we speak, or pair that with a picture, or pair that with, for children who can read, it can be instructions written down on the whiteboard on a note. Okay, so when our words disappear in the next millisecond, but if we pair that with objects, with actions, with pictures, and with words, it stays for a longer period of time, and that helps that multimodal learning for the child also. There's different ways for them to absorb that same message. The second strategy is for us to say less. Say less meaning that we don't ramble on and on and on and expect the child to pick up the key pertinent information. We want to speak at the child's level of understanding. So a very quick tip that I usually suggest is that if the child can speak at 2 to 4 words, you just add one or two more words in. So we speak to them at 4 to 6 words. If the child can't speak at all, then maybe just 1 to 3 words when we speak with them. Keep our instructions short and simple, and we use words that the child is able to understand or at a simpler level. Okay. Next is also to go slow, so to speak slowly. It helps the child in 2 ways. When we speak slowly, they are able to have time to process what you have said. Okay, it gives them time to think and absorb, okay, this is what mommy or daddy has told me. They have time. Okay, not every child picks things and process information as quickly. So giving them time helps. The second part is to the second helpful bit is that when we go slow and we pause, it gives a child time to come up with a response as well. Okay. And lastly, what we can do to help a child to understand is to stress and repeat keywords. We can do that two ways. First is to build it up or to break it down. So let's say we have a simple instruction of putting on hat. Okay, you want to tell them put on hat. I will break it down to, I'll point to the hat, put on hat. Okay, that helps the child to know exactly, oh, that's the hat that I need to take first, and this I need to put it on the action. Okay, so the child knows exactly. What if you have a slightly longer instructions or something that you want to let the child to do, a multi-step one? Then we can use the strategy of breaking it down. Let's say I have the instruction of take your spoon and eat the cereal. I will say take spoon, point to the spoon and say spoon. Eat cereal, point to the cereal bowl, cereal, what's inside the bowl. So the child knows exactly where is the spoon, what they are supposed to do, and where's the cereal and what they're supposed to do to eat the cereal. Okay. And lastly, we have strategies to aid language use. That is the use of language and how they express themselves. Remember, it doesn't always have to be verbal. Verbal words, the child is communicating with us through many, many different ways, through gestures, through pictures, through actions, and those we want to build on that as well. Okay, so the first two I've mentioned previously. First is to get down to the child's eye level, and the second is observe, wait, and listen the hour, to read the cues, to be very attuned to what the child's interest is, their level, and then to build it up from there. Okay. Then the third strategy is to model. We want to be like a newscaster, to parallel talk what the child is seeing or hearing, saying or doing what the child would have said if they are able to. Okay, so giving them the words and modeling for them the words and sentence they could say if they are able to. Okay, so likewise, we want to say it slowly and clearly, and to keep our sentences short. And of course, if our child is just beginning to pick up language, we want to use words that are appropriate for their age, or that means being simpler. And as they build up their vocabulary, then we can add more difficult or less used words in their vocab. Okay, and lastly, to always repeat. Okay, I always say that some children, you can just say it once, they pick it up quickly, and they might use that word the next day in the right context. But there are some children that you might need to say it for the 10th time, for the 20th time. Some of them even need 100 times of repetition. You never know when is the next one time when you model the words or the phrases for the child is going to use it next. So repetition is key. And lastly, the last strategy to encourage our child to expand and extend their language is expansion and extension. So for an example, if we have a child, they are this dad and the boy is playing with cars. The child say driving car. So how the daddy can expand the child's utterance is to say, I am driving a car, or you are driving a car. So that's to put what the child has said into a grammatically correct sentence. Okay, or we can also use another strategy to extend that. So extending the phrase driving car, it could be adding the car is blue. So we say driving a blue car, driving car slowly, or driving car on the road. So we add additional information that's extending what the child has said. Okay, so all this helps with building a child's language and ultimately their communication skills. So I've shared both ways to encourage responsiveness and also language building strategies, and which one comes first. A lot of the times when you read articles or when you read, it's always, this is what you can do with the child, language building or language modeling strategies. But at the foundation, we need to be attuned to what the child interest is, to be at their level, to be at their pace. Okay, we may be very eager for them to communicate with us, but it's at a different pace. The the child is not engaged and the child is not absorbing those. So we will want to first build responsive interactions with them that's being attuned to what the child is saying or doing or showing us, and to be timely in our interactions with them. Then we can work our language building strategies on top of that. Okay. And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
All right, can we invite all our panel speakers to be back here on screen with us? Hi, Michelle. Okay. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
Wonderful. I think our audience have quite a number of questions coming in. So let's begin our Q&A session. All right. So perhaps we can have a look at the first question. Okay. My daughter is by Siti Zuhaila. My daughter is 3 years old, not talking yet. She loves music. Every time she listens to music videos, especially YouTube Kids, how to encourage her to speak while singing music to her? Maybe Jacqueline, do you want to take this question?
Sure, I will take this question. I think there are a few things here that first of all, we need to notice that the child is 3 years old, and in speech therapy, I'm sure Alison can fill me in later, that there is a checklist of there should be a list of words that the child is able to speak by now. So then I think first and foremost, you need to identify if there is a need for the child to go for formal speech assessment. So this is one thing. And then second of all, she loves music and she likes to listen to music videos, and especially YouTube Kids. Listening is a passive type of music enjoyment. So today's presentation was shared with you about some strategies of how you can sing with her to engage, to get her to use more words or vocalizations for interactions. So one very powerful technique that I have seen a lot of result is the fill in the blanks techniques. So you leave the last word of a song, of the sentence, blank, and then a child will fill it up for you. For example, A, B, C, D, E, F. After that, you don't say anything, you don't do anything, you leave it blank. And then a child would, after a few trial of you repeating that strategy, the child will fill it up. The child would either say or G. Yeah, so then, but then you need to try that for a few times. Then you go A, B, C, D, E, F, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. Then you need to leave that pause for the child to join in. And the science behind this is because this is automatically processed in our brain, the music. If you don't fill that sound up, they find it very weird. So they need to fill it up. The brain is not working well if there is no such sound because they're very used to this tune. So they would try their best to fill it up with either a vocalization or a word. So what you can do at home for now, I think, is to find a song that she really likes, and then you leave the last word in blank to get the interaction going first, and see if she will fill it up with either a vocalization or a word approximation. And now, Alison, how about you can fill her in about the speech assessment part?
I do agree. So the child might not be speaking, so I think it's necessary for speech assessment at this age. I unable to give you any strategies because I would prefer to see your child so that I can give you more accurate strategies. But in general, look out for other ways that your child is communicating with you. That could be her pulling your hand, to let you know that there's something that she wants, or it could be her gesturing or making sounds. She might not be able to say milk, but it could be or su su. So it could be her making sound, and that's something that we can build on first. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have another personal question which I am very interested in when I listened to Michelle's sharing just now. So she mentioned something about how we can share topics of sorrow, and it's something that we need to be very honest about and not keep it away from children. So I thought maybe you could share a little bit more about it. So how do we share topics of trauma, of very negative emotions, or even taboo topics like death, for example? So how parents can actually use picture books to help children to manage their emotions or to cope with emotions associated with trauma?
Myself. Hi. Sometimes I guess like it's like for a very difficult like situation, like death, like trauma, like I think the parents actually find it really hard to talk about it because they are also affected by the issues. Like I read the case that like there's a case in Japan. A parent find it really hard to tell the older children that their younger brother is soon passed away. And so the doctor in the case, he's actually not even a doctor from any not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, but he's the doctor of the youngest boy. And then he shared picture books with the two older children, which is called the Badger Parting Gift. And then they read the book together and see that like you see like the Badgers is passing away, but he left a lot of memories to the rest of to all the animals in the forest though. And so that the children actually get easier. I mean, it's easier for children to get to the fact that like their brother is leaving, but at the same time that he also give them a lot of like memories to the memories and to the whole family. And so I guess like parents, if they find it really hard or any teachers find it really hard to talk about it, they should try to look for books which talks about it honestly, not hiding it. Never really hide it. You don't encourage the children to hide their feelings, so instead to understand the feelings and express it when they find it comfortable to do so. And it may take some time. Like reading books is not like we don't expect immediate effects that like, okay, we got this problem solved. Everyone have different schedule when they talk about sadness, and just give time for the children or anyone who would like to digest the information fast or digest the story fast, and then let them express in a way they want to, the time as well, and then the way they want to. And then the problem will be resolved very slightly and not immediate. And there are books which is related to different kind of, sadly, like different kind of like natural disaster. And there are more books published related to death as well. So choose the books that is relatable to the situation, and choose the book that it's that your children can understand in terms of their pictures and in terms of the text. And it may need adults to read it along. Just stay with the children or anyone who need it, and then wait till the proper time for them to express it.
So much. Okay, so do we have the next question? All right, so we have a question from Karen Au. My child talks a lot at home. She doesn't speak in school. She is 3 years old. She plays with her friends in silent mode. I understand that this is called selective mutism. Can you offer any tips?
Okay.
Any one of our panelists can take this?
I can take that. So if she's able to speak at home but not at school, it could be anxiety, or it could be various reasons. Perhaps we cannot force her to actually use her words at the start. There can be different ways for her to still communicate. It can be through gestures, it could be through pictures, or she could be whispering to either her peers. So we accept that and we celebrate that, her communicating with someone or anyone in that class for a start. And then we slowly use that to build that up. So it can be first with one child, one friend, and then maybe she whispers to that friend, that then we want to encourage her to, maybe you can whisper to another one or two more friends, and then she can speak louder. And if she's comfortable up to it, then she can move on to speaking, whispering with the adult first, or actually just passing picture cards to the adult to convey what she wants or make her choices. So allow her different ways to communicate without pressurizing her to speak yet. She will when she's ready to, or when we offer her alternatives and channels to do that.
Thank you, Alison.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we have another question over here. What instruments can I use if I do not know how to play any? I suppose this is a question for Jacqueline.
Yes. So I actually lecture in early childhood classes, and I would say 90% of the students that do early childhood doesn't play any musical instruments, but they learn. I think the most effective one and the easiest one is a drum. So it does not have to look like this. This is a lollipop drum. This is a real musical instrument. It can be anything. It can be a box, anything that you can make a drum beat. And then anything you can play a drum beat, or you just get the child to play. Even my 1-year-old baby boy, he would just be tapping. And then you can sing any song to that tap. For example, just randomly tapping out. Black sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, yes sir, 3 bags full. It's very hard for me to randomly tap on a drum. But that's the idea. Also, what you can do is you play a lot of pre-recorded songs with the child. I have the tendency to move out of nursery rhymes in terms of the repertoire that I expose my own children to. I actually have 3 children, and they are 7, 4, and 1. And the repertoire that I expose them to could be children's folk, pop song. My 7-year-old loves Jason Mraz because I love Jason Mraz. He listens to Bruno Mars. And my 1-year-old baby is listening to a lot of dance music because he loves to dance. And once the dance music is put out, because of the rhythm, the beat, pop, 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 and then it will start moving. And it's because the rhythm actually activates the motor cortex in our brain. So they cannot stop moving, and they will start moving to the beat. And you can play pre-recorded songs, something that you like, to dance with your child. So that's another way. Or you can get instruments that looks like this. These are a set of bells. They are very fun to play with. You can just lay them out for your child to play. You can limit the number of bells in the beginning. Then it could be just 1, very loud. It could be just 2. And then what the child is learning through playing the bells is they are learning the eye-hand coordination, the tapping, reaching out. And after a while, this is my right hand, and the bell is put on the left, you can practice things like crossing midline to actually get their brain to work even more. Because when they're doing activities that requires them to cross the midline of the body, it's actually helping the 2 parts of the brain communicate. So research also has shown that it actually helps them learn better, have better literacy as well. So you can get a set of bells and practice a set of things, or just let them create their own melody, and they can make any type of tunes that they like. So there is no right and wrong in making music at home. Yeah, so I think the bells, pre-recorded music, and the drum would be somewhere good to go. Or shakers. You can make your own shakers with Yakult bottle, with rice at home. Just seal it up with tape. Yeah. I hope that answered your question.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, we have just some time for the last question. So we have a question over here from Shu Xian. My child talks a lot to me, but not so much to others that she's not familiar with. How can I help her break out of her shell?
I take the question. Okay. I think that's quite common for children, especially with COVID. Children have not have much interaction between their immediate family members. I think that's quite normal. But what we can do is to preempt the child, let them know that, oh, today we're going to meet auntie or uncle that you have not seen before, or you might meet, to a playgroup, or facilitate that new groups of children. So offer them strategies, talk them through. I think we could use storybooks as a way to give the child some ideas on how they can interact with others also, or to make friends. And most importantly is to read your child's cue also. If they're not ready this time round, it's okay. Let's try that the next time again. You might want to also to be with her. Maybe facilitate that kind of interaction. The child might not be wanting to say hello, but then let's do a high five, or high five requires hand to hand, and the child is not willing to touch. That's okay. Let's do a wave. So then we step back and think about how we can create that interaction. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, panel speakers, for the learning and the insightful tips shared. I think just over the last 1.5 hours, we have heard a lot about how we can use picture books to read with our children and help them to identify their emotions. I think Michelle shared a whole list of books that are in her slides just now. And I know parents are taking down notes and then going to the libraries to borrow that later. Okay. And I also hope that our parents have learned ways where they can improvise on songs and sing with their children. Yeah. And I know that activity itself, I think apart from just really building that relationship, is also extending our children's vocabulary from a very, very young age. And lastly, not to forget, Alison also shared about how we must be responsive and always interact with our children. All right. So thank you so much. I hope our parents have benefited a lot from this panel that we have here today. So before we end off the session, may we have all our panelists put on your brightest smile for a group photo? All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. So it's 3 p.m. now. We'll take a quick break. So for participants who are interested in attending panel 3 on physical development and learning, we'll see you back here. And as for participants who are interested in attending panel 4 on mother tongue languages, please click on the link in the description box below. The panel will be streamed on that link instead. So thank you so much, and we'll see you all again at 3:30 p.m. Thank you.